Former North Dakota State Senator Ray Holmberg. Federal prosecutors are now asking a judge to hold a hearing to revoke his release conditions as he awaits sentencing on child sex tourism charges. We told you last week the 79-year-old has continually violated the terms of his release, and the prosecutor in her request wrote, quote, "It's hard to imagine under what circumstances the defendant would be motivated to abide by the court's order, if not now."
All right, time